Hi, everybody. Welcome back to RVAsec 2024. That's RVAsec 13 in the 13th year. This year, the Marriott Richmond, June 4th to the 5th, 2024. My next guest, Mr. Kevin Johnson. He's the CEO of SecureIdeas.com. Mr. Kevin, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me on it.
You're giving a talk at RVAsec next week. The title, Orion's Quest, Navigating the Cyber Wilderness, Tales of Modern Pen Testing. I'm intrigued, my friend. Tell me what that's about.
Well, it really is just I would say a culmination of way too many years working in security. I'm old. I've been doing this for a while, and when I started out with penetration testing, the target systems and bluntly the ease at which we could get into systems has changed, right? Modern systems require a better understanding of a variety of things, including business, risk, and technology. And so this talk is just going to walk through some of the topics and techniques that we use today and how they're different from before, and how organizations, both internal and external, can do a better job of understanding what vulnerabilities and risks organizations are exposed to.
You know, I like this approach. Now, by the way, you see all this white hair? I'm old.
Yeah.
You're getting there, but I got the white hair, dude. So, but I'm just, all kidding aside, I get what you're saying. This is so important. Legacy information is so important. Ironically, we don't see legacy information passed on in the cyber world as much as we do in the physical world. You had a mentor in the physical security world. That guy ran the studio. He taught me. I took over his job. All that knowledge got passed on, all the processes, right? I had my first computer in 1984 when there's 2 floppy drives. And guess what? There were no APIs. So guess what? Nobody got hacked back then. Now it's changed. You're completely right about that. Is this something, am I close to being right on this part about, the knowledge base of us older dudes doesn't quite get passed on to the new guys, because the new guys say, well, you don't know about this brand new code thing we're talking about because you're an old guy. It seems like we're missing some of that.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of both. Absolutely, some of the legacy stuff is not being passed on well. We as an industry do bad at sharing data. Well, somewhat bad at sharing data. I think, and it's what I'm going to talk about mostly, is it's actually the flip side of this, is that very often when we look at modern systems, we approach them the way we would approach a legacy system, right? We see way too much scare tactics with regards to penetration testing and things like that, right? We also see a major problem where compliance requirements drive a lot of penetration testing. And so we see a lot of check the box, I did the test, I'm good, without actually evaluating whether the risk exists, right? Or if there's other risks that we just didn't detect because we didn't understand the system we were talking about. So what I want to do is I want to bring people up into modern technologies and techniques, right? So that we can better understand things.
That's a brilliant way to say it, because compliance does drive a lot of it. And if I'm the CEO of company A, I really don't care about this stuff. I make widgets. I'm going to pass it off to my IT guy. You handle that. It's a law. I have to do it. I wish I didn't have to do it. I wish I didn't have to spend money on security. That's the C-suite. It's better. It's still kind of the C-suite attitude, right? So if you use a checkbox approach, let me ask you a question out of school. Have you ever done a pen test where you did not find a vulnerability? I'm going to guess probably not. Some sort of vulnerability, right? At a minimum?
If the job is scoped correctly, yes, we always find something. We do have jobs that are scoped so tight, so whatever, that things that are in scope and the way we were testing did not find something of note.
Right.
We always find something that there's an issue, but whether it's of note to the business, right? Because what our job is is to understand where these vulnerabilities and problems exist within the business requirements and whether or not it's actually worth fixing, right? Because sadly, for InfoSec, we very often think, we want no problems, we want no risks, we want to secure everything, but that's not actually possible. We can't build a completely secure system and have it be useful, right? And you're absolutely right that the C-suite attitude is often, I don't want to do this if I don't have to. But bluntly, that's actually a valid opinion, right? As much as I hate to say it, because I'd like everybody to want to do a penetration test, right? I'm a greedy capitalist. I'd like them to hire companies like mine to do it. But the reality is we do not pen test people to secure, right? Like, you can't have a penetration test done and when it's finished, be like, okay, I'm now protected. That's not how this works, right? When I finish a penetration test, you are as insecure as you were when I started. You just now understand what the risks are. You understand where the flaws are, and you can then prioritize your limited resources, right? So that's where this talk comes in, is being able to understand the modern systems, right? We no longer have every system internal to a data center with complete control over physical and network access, right? We now have situations where major organizations, worldwide organizations with hundreds of thousands of employees, some dude with a credit card is deploying a SaaS solution that security doesn't even know exists. IT doesn't even know exists. And that system now has critical corporate data running it. How do you address that? How do you test that? Are you even allowed to test that, right? So the goal is when if somebody attends the talk, right, and I'd like somebody to, if somebody attends the talk, when they walk out of the talk, what I'm hoping is that they will understand how penetration testing has changed, what they should focus on to be better at penetration testing, and how we can make pen testing fit what an organization is trying to accomplish.
You just brought up something very interesting. After the pen test is done, you're no less vulnerable, right? It's like Schrodinger's cat, right? So is the cat in the box dead or not dead? He's both, because you don't know. And you can't have I don't know in cybersecurity. That's not the good model to have. Yeah.
I would say that based on that analogy, pen testing is opening Schrodinger's box.
Yes.
Right? You're finding out if the cat is dead.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's we have to find, I think, different. And listen, I'm no expert. I just taught myself what I know. I think it's fascinating. That's why I taught myself. But I think we need to find better ways to explain this stuff from the IT, translate it backwards to a practical C-level decision maker who doesn't get it. Because, people my age I grew up with are now C-level guys, or they're chiefs of police and police departments where I came from, right? And I got friends of mine, they don't even use Quicken to balance their checkbook. They still use a pencil and the statement, and they write it up. It's like, dude, what are you doing, right? So until that next generation comes in that does get it, I think we're really vulnerable based on a lack of decision-making for lack of understanding. And if we can translate to something simple that this relates to your business model, because if you don't do it, your widgets aren't going out the back door because your supply chain is corrupt, right? Oh, okay, I get that part. Yeah.
Relating it to the business model is critical.
That's
and we see way too often that people don't know how to do that, right? Because I don't know about you, but for me, I came in to being a nerd from an early age. I lived just north of where the IBM PC was built. And so I was surrounded by people who worked in technology at some level. Of course, we didn't talk about it as working at technology, right? And so I learned tech. I graduated high school. I got a tech job. I moved from one tech job to another tech job to another tech job. Nobody ever sat down and taught me business. Nobody ever sat down and taught me how the business ran. And so that is something, and we see that still today, right? If you look at most cybersecurity programs in universities, They don't have a business aspect to them. They don't have an understanding of where cybersecurity fits into the general overall model of everything, right? And so that causes us to not be able to communicate that way to the C-level executives. Or let's forget the C-level executives. How do you communicate to the developer? How do you communicate to the project manager? How do you communicate to the business analyst that is actually going to drive this entire project forward, right? The CEO can pull big levers, but the people below them are the ones that we have to also be able to communicate to, right? Because while the CEO is going to say, be secure, the project manager, the business analyst, the IT person, the developer, they are the people that have to then implement the specifics that tie to that very generic overall be secure.
Kevin, I take it back. I think you are old because you're expressing older concepts of common sense, right? I love this stuff. It's going to be great. No, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not different than when I came from physical security and ran that in 2 studios, Fox and Disney. You're trying to sell your budget to the studio that says, well, here's a true story. So one day, the head of the studio came in, who's now a very successful producer. You'll see his name all over everything because he's outside of Fox. But he tells my boss, can you guarantee me if I increase your budget, you won't have any thefts? My boss says, well, no, I can't. Cut your security budget in half. There you go.
Yep.
And guess what happened? Absolutely nothing happened. Right?
Yep.
So that could have gone the wrong way, right? Because it was right before 9/11, and we increased it after that, of course. But this is it. It's translating that language. Nobody was ever taught these concepts in IT because it's a business-related thing. And, if you take the modern technology and try to up the game for pen testing and then get some information in there to the C-level to say, let me explain this thing to you in common terms. Your refrigerator might spoil your milk on purpose because it got mad at you for not using its automatic list because it's an Internet of Things, and you're doomed. Maybe I can't have my milk spoiled on purpose by my Internet of Things refrigerator, so let's fix that, right? And you put it down in modern terms and practical things, people will do it. So I wish I could catch your lecture, Kevin. I can't make it in person this year, but maybe next year.
Man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a traveling thing, but next year for sure. All right, buddy.
Awesome.
Good luck to you. Catch Kevin at RVAsec 13, RVAsec 2024. May out Richmond, June 4th to the 5th. Peace out, my friend.